Travis went Goodsell. This is what happens when I wake up forcibly before 1 a.m. this morning. I crash not too many hours after. So, Oaks got leaked. And this is devastating for the church, whom were able to claim that maybe I'm just, holding a grudge as anti-Mormon, anti-Christ, Coro, or apostate. Because you just come to one video, so you don't bother to check me out. But for any Mormon to not figure this out, like the Mormon I got it from didn't figure it out, oh dear God. But the sister missionary, good for you, girl. She recorded Oaks when he came to speak at her mission. 14th of March, 2020. This is not the end of the world, but merely a test. A trial run for the second coming. And then after that, things would escalate. Deaths occur, financial crises occurs, that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints were the big profiteers from, and the coup of the government attempted yet again. And that was merely a test, a trial run. And that's how they think the second coming of Jesus is going to be? He confesses the whole concept of religion as a fraud. If he's the one causing it, then they're fraudulently claiming it's Jesus. Do you not see this, Mormons? I saw it when Nelson said, "In the coming days, Jesus." I had put all the pieces of the puzzle together through investigation. These are the self-proclaimed criminals. And yes, Oaks confesses to all criminal activity in the past. But he's also confessing that he's going to commit further crimes in the future. But he expected those missionaries not to record him, not to leak it, to just call their families and say, "Living prophet of Jesus spoke. I feel so wonderful inside." And then they move on with their missions. They would eventually get called home. Conference would get canceled. All because of Oaks. Do you not remember what happened in 2020? Dear God. And for it to be leaked just a couple of weeks ago. Because I don't follow Mormon channels. I don't go to their channel and put a thumbs down and a hate comment and a death threat. Like Mormons do to me. I understand that Mormons are the victims, so my channel is to try to reach out to them, to warn them of this. Because when you're doing a criminal investigation, Utah police, if you're listening, pay attention. They don't do the investigative research. They lock a person up and force this confession that Oakes gave. And Oakes knows this. He's a former prosecutor. He's a former Utah Supreme Court justice. He knows that this is what's done in Utah. And he did it. That's because now everything that will happen is on him and all the leadership of this church. What is about to happen to the Jews in Israel is on him, them. I'd already done the investigative research. I did the church news videos for you. Meeting with the Saudi Arabian princess? Yeah, this isn't about preaching Jesus. This is a business deal. And then she would come out later in an interview on the news and say, yeah, everything is for my people. I only do business for my people, to profit for my people. I deal with heathens to benefit my people. Islam thinks we're heathens, Mormons, in case you got confused over the pamphlets that said we're just like Muslims. That pamphlet now is exposed by Islamists as a pre-prep for their action against Israel last year, almost to the day now, October 7th. Which was October 6th for us here in America. That she was purposely compromising people to side with Islam. And I saw this as they were likewise trying to get MAGA on their side. And I thought, this is weird. What is going on? Congressmen MAGA are meeting with Islamists. These are the things you have to pay attention to in the news. All of this was getting set up. And here the church also was getting things set up. Now, if the church realizes that they will not get their kingdom back by overthrowing the government, they will burn this church to the very ground with the United States of America. You need to know and understand this. And again, you don't want to doubt me on this. You don't want to disagree. Because this exposure by Oakes, yeah, I've been right the whole time. You should have listened to me rather than cutting yourself off with your stupidity, with your hate, with your violent threats to silence me and shut me up. This is where you curl up in a ball and you keep repeating over and over again, the church is true, the church is true, the church is true. Your faith bubble is about to be burstified. They framed you, they led you astray, they stole your money and used it as the Judas price to have you murdered, criminalized, and victimized. And it's just sickening to me that my own government is letting the church get away with it, just like they're letting Trump get away with his crimes. This ought to scare the whole world that the government is in on their own coup. We are looking at a complete and utter destruction of the United States of America. The life you live in the coming days will no longer exist. And so if you're a precious prima donna who demands to have your life your way, that's going to be the toughest for you. Whereas the homeless that I run past every morning, nothing will change. Here in Utah, yeah, because as we near the freezing time, they're going to open up the homeless shelters earlier for overflow to round you up to murder you. Again, I've done the videos. I know what they're up to. That's why the church had set it up for me. I am here because I got 2 girls fired for failing to keep me there. That little blue missionary thing on the cover of The Way to Perfection, yeah, that was the church's death threat. They've had it with me. And yes, just like Oaks did to the missionaries and then got it leaked, my property manager in 2020 abused me as the tenant. Tried to murder me by poisoning. Tried to evict me illegally. And then at the end of it, after the church won the lawsuits against me, but I still got it in the public record to warn my government, and the second filing had a case filing that prosecutors then would use on those in January 6th. That's me. There are things you do not know and understand that I'm the cause of. Just like in the video yesterday, I think it was, talking about my mission. I'm the cause for North and South New York missions. Me and McFarland. I was there. I caused it. But she sent me at the end threatening with her lawyer even to kick me to the curb after failing to murder me, being ordered by the church because of the lawsuits. She then sent a signed, dated letter saying, we'll let you go this year, but next year I'm coming to get you. That's what Oakes is saying here. 2020, we're letting you go, but we're coming to get you in 2024. Signed and dated by Dallin H. Oakes. H stands for hell. Heathen. Whore, spelled in the current vernacular of today's teens. Dear God. So, to finish this off, let's get rid of some of this paperwork that I've been piling up. Thomas B. Marsh was the first one to warn the United States of America of this Danite threat. In his affidavit, along with the other guy, others also had warned about this. David Whitmer likewise was warned and went and told Oliver Cowdery about it. Numerous testimonies of the true Mormons, as they called themselves. It was a coup of Joseph Smith, framing and blaming him, locking him up. And so, yes, Joseph Smith's works, even the works by these Danites under Brigham Young to forge documents claiming they're by Joseph Smith, which supported all of their criminal operations and abominable practices of wickedness and sin. I'm saying it's not a sin. Jesus, religious freedom. Brigham Young's endowment, not Joseph Smith's, in which he incorporated the death penalty blood atonement from Freemasonry, which only had to do with the play performance. But you got to know about the murder of Hiram Abiff to understand what I'm talking about. Nobody wants to know that. But Brigham Young put it in, saying, you must be loyal to us, obey us. We're gonna coup the government in the future to restore our kingdom that the United States took away from us. Death to America. And so then, yes, you have Joseph Fielding Smith Sr.'s The Way to Perfection, that I had finally obtained my own copy of, figuring out it was him, not the member of the 70 who didn't reference it. But you'd have to have been following me all these years to know what I'm talking about. In which he says there will be a transfer of government authority from the United States and the rest of the world to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. All will bow the knee to us. And Oakes confesses 2020 was the test run for 2024 bloodbath. And so you have Christianizing of the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith that also confirm this. This was by the Danites. By turning Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith into literal history, they now encoded their plot, just like the Christians did to the Bible. just like Islamists did to the Bible. So yes, they too also confirm this intended plot to overthrow our government. Albert Pike also reaffirms that, yep, this is what's going to happen. Not just to the United States, but he's speaking about the whole world. Islam versus Christianity. Bloodbath. World War III. And Christians are still playing dumb. Though on YouTube, there's a whole bunch of posts talking about the rapture and the second coming in the coming days. Strange. I was curious why they gave up after 2017 with Revelation chapter 12 verses 1 and 2, as they only could figure it out with, for the 23rd of September 2017. They hyped it all up, saying it's the coming of the Antichrist. Not the Jewish Christ, by the Jewish authors of the Jewish religion of the Jewish Christ. Because it got replaced by Christianity interpretation and Islamic interpretation to screw it all up. And so yes, this is why they are attacking Israel right now. This is why they were setting it all up all over the world. Is for the second coming. He confesses Jesus isn't real, that they're doing it. When Oak says, in the coming days you're going to see the marvelous, wonderful powers of Jesus right before he comes. They're doing it, not Jesus. They're claiming Jesus is telling them to hurt you, to steal from you, to commit crimes. That's what Oakes is confessing. He's using religious freedom to do all of this. And they're not even a religion. You've missed those videos, haven't you? They're just a corporation. That's even what it's called, the corporation. And then there's some ofs to add to it. Of the president. Yeah, obviously, all corporations have a CEO. Nelson! But of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? No, that doesn't exist anymore. The United States shut them down in 1887 with the Edmunds-Tucker Act. So what Heber J. Grant was doing in incorporating the corporation was establishing a criminal operation to change from what Brigham was intending to do with polygamy to increase the number of babies and thus increase the number of Mormons with a perpetual immigration fund, which was a slave trading operation, slave trafficking, and sex trafficking for both adults and children, which is what they got shut down for, not polygamy. Even if you call it child bride polygamy, which Oakes never says that, he just says polygamy is our religious freedom rights. You mean child bride polygamy, that you lowered the age to 11. I did the videos, Mormons were upset. No, that's not what it meant. It's exactly what it meant. Oakes just got leaked. They've said Travis is right all this time, because I found out through investigation. You don't even bother to read your Book of Mormon. And so this whole thing is getting set up. The coup, the crimes. All of it. Planned, orchestrated from the Danites, being implemented right now. These men knowingly are doing this. They're not innocent, living in some kind of bubble, naive, thinking Jesus is going to come. No, they are knowingly evil. They know there is no Jesus. It's them. And thus, by calling Nelson the prophet, is the same thing why Islamists call Muhammad the prophet. Because both of these guys replaced the Jewish Christ. But you still claim it's Jesus and not Nelson. How does that make you feel to be suckered by this church? Probably you don't believe, and it was too much for you to handle, and you're already gone. But for Mitt Romney, I wonder how he's handling it. If he were to find out about this, because you do know about Mitt with January 6, 2021, right? He was shown on the congressional hearings tape where he's minding his own merry business, clueless that there's a riot going on outside that has broken the doors and the windows, and they're smearing poop on the walls because they're on vacation. Because that's what they do on vacation, I guess. As yet another January 6er father and son team are in trouble for that finally. Took them forever. I told them Mormons are in that group. I told them. The DOJ, the FBI, Mormons are in that group. And it took them this long to figure it out. Despite the cameras, despite the technology to run down facial recognition, it took them this long to figure out I was right. That it's my case against the church that they're using against them all, but not the leaders of government. They're letting them get away with it. There, googly moogly. And so yes, even my childhood peers were already talking about it. Not just of what they wanted to do to women, to gays, to immigrants, to the poor, did I mention to women? And yet they still are able to sucker in a person or several from each of those categories of what they are going to do to you. Right, Meal Love, who showed Trump no love? All of it was planned and orchestrated by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Everything that has already happened, going all the way back, Travis was right. And everything that is about to happen, I am right before it even happens. See, this is the struggle I've had with prophesying to you. Is it going to happen? I don't know. How is it going to happen? I don't know. But Oaks shined the light to the end of the tunnel and said, yep, that's exactly what's going to happen. Because that's how you do investigation. You assemble the evidence, the documents, the receipts, their playbook. You assemble it all together. You try to piece together what is it that they are up to? What are they about to do? We've got no more time left, says the equalizer, Queen Latifah. I got 2 or 3 more episodes left. And so I'm kind of struggling with some of this stuff. Because the whole LGBTQ thing, oh dear God, if you only would listen to me. I've warned you, you're not listening. Oh my God, I saw the conversion episode on Equalizer. Dear God, guys. If Americans knew this, which Americans are not supposed to know, not even Mormons, they would riot now rather than waiting for the election. MSNBC has been trying to get into the minds of their followers how evil Project 2025 is going to be if implemented. And Oak said, that's mine. I wrote it. Oaks. I told you he wrote it. I did the videos. And Oak said, yep, it's me. I'm the architect of it, and I can't get anybody to listen. When the transfer of government authority is held, the world will not know of it. The Mormons will not know of it. He says members of the church will not know of it, and then says saints cannot know of it. The world cannot know of it. That's why I keep repeating these for you in picture memes. And I still get deniers and liars for Jesus. There is no way this church is true, Mormons, because it's not even a church. Because it's not a church, they have no authority to be religious. Not to hold conference this weekend, not for your temple marriages. So there's your excuse to leave her. Or him, as again another Mormon murdering their spouse. And they say it was an informant. No, they locked her up in jail and they put somebody next to her cell in which they were talking to her saying, so what are you in for? I murdered my spouse. Well, how did you do it? Well, I poisoned him or butchered him or whatever it was that she did to murder her spouse. That's how they do it. They did it to me. What are you in here for? I wrote a book. What? What? Yeah, petition for a redress of grievances. That's what I'm in here for. Yep. So, yep. They all understood that because all of us were innocent, obviously, and so they related to me. But yes, I did not belong. I actually didn't do anything wrong. Back in 2008. And then would go on to find out that the church ordered and paid for it. Thus the lawsuits. But the federal government blocked it to prevent me from petitioning the government for a redress of grievances. And then Bill Barr would sacrifice America. This is what the deep state Dem press are not fully grasping. Bill Barr knew. He was a part of it. He was helping the coup. So when he comes out and says, Trump, ooh, bad. He was a part of it. He did his part. Everybody's doing their part. And you trace it all the way back to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, as I've done the investigation for. The Council for National Policy. And Oakes confessed, yep, Travis is right. There's nothing else I can do. Or this is it. And so yes, now is the time to witness the marvelous mighty powers of the Jewish God upon the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the great and abominable church. It must fall, says the Book of Mormon. Mormons must be freed. And once you're freed, you will have a faith crisis. You won't know what to do. Oh no, I thought the church was true. Nope. And so, as Albert Pike says, you will have no compass or guide to direct you in your life. Because you have learned for yourself that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints isn't true. But they are thinking to destroy Joseph and the Book of Mormon with it. But they're Jewish, not Christian. They're going to destroy them, having everybody believe they're Christian. To destroy the Bible, having everybody believe it's Christian. It's Jewish. As Jewish, it's true. It's already happened. It's gonna happen, so says Oakes. But that's not what they intended. They were only using the dates given in the Bible in the book of Revelation to coordinate their attacks. Not understanding that by being evil, you then fulfilled the prophecies which will bring about your demise. But I'm the one thing they never expected to happen. The Jewish Christ. They knew Joseph Smith was the Jewish Christ to found it, but they never expected me. This is the whole one mighty and strong debate that this church has lied and denied about. Because they know what it means. Because you're supposed to have it footnoted to Deuteronomy 18, 15 through 19. Verse 8 is verse 20 in Deuteronomy. Check it. Verse 8 is the false prophet. Verse 7 is the Christ, the prophet. And he's human. Raised up as Mormon. And this they don't believe. And so Brigham Young mocked Joseph Smith and says, I'm the Christ. I'm the prophet. The man like Moses. And so the pioneer trek is called an exodus from Babylon. Brigham's Babylon. He's flipping the script. So, AI, done on purpose by orders of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's not AI. It's a forged document, or it's a forged programming. A malware virus is all it is. And so cars that have internet and AI thus, yeah, they're malfunctioning. Go figure. I told you, fire sale. AI is searching for a fire sale. It's a malware to shut down the whole United States whenever they click in the time to do it. And I've warned my government, they're not stopping it. Because if you're not paid attention, Our government will stop a crime before it happens. All they need to know is that there was a plot to do it, and that there are people involved that are doing it. That's all they need to lock you up, to prevent it from happening. January 6th was afterward. It happened. But they're not investigating. They're not locking the people up responsible for what's about to happen to America, to your lives. So, yeah, I already talked about the Texas man who's about to be executed for a crime that never happened. The rapture is occurring in Madagascar. This is Christians. The rapture is kidnapping. And those who don't get kidnapped in a rapture are going to be murdered with the second coming of Jesus' burning. And then Israel bombed the Tower of Babel. I already talked about that. That's Beirut. It's not Ur of Babylon. Didn't exist yet. Okay. That goes in that pile. Okay. All caught up. Okay. I mean, I could do another video just for Jesus, the kidnapper and murderer. But yeah, Madagascar is having a kidnapping crisis. Haiti also. You can pretty much say it's the second coming of Jesus in Haiti. Which seems to be unrelated to Trump's Haitians eating pets thing. Because this is the crisis for which caused the refugees to come to America and then be accused by Trump of eating pets, to kick them back to Haiti, where they're being murdered right now. Remember the missionary who died in Haiti? Yeah, the Church of Jesus Christ is doing nothing to pull the missionaries out. So even though I guess it was a pre-existing condition, or they didn't know why she died, nonetheless, she shouldn't have been on her mission, especially in Haiti. The church should have shut down the mission in Haiti. They're not. It's escalated. And they're not shutting it down. Church hasn't been racist since 1978, Travis. There's an official declaration that proves it. And you yourself, you did the greatest hits of conference. And you covered that clip. You know, you're deceiving us, Travis. Mormons, do you not understand? That whole greatest hits, that's all to the coup plot that Oaks said is gonna happen. I was right. I did the investigative work. I assembled all the pieces of the facts and the evidence together to produce the facts, to warn you in my videos, and you rejected it. Even when Oaks came out and confirmed it. And just in case you think you don't know anything about it, yeah, he had dozens of views on his video. And so if you found out about it through him and then finding me being recommended for the one and only video of mine, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And notice how the Mormon is still thinking the church is true. Jesus is coming. And yet, that still Mormon guy, he's pushing the boundaries. He's about to be excommunicated. I noticed that he's been pushing ever since finding out from obtaining the Kirtland papers that Joseph Smith had his extra and above polygamy is evil. So therefore, Joseph wasn't practicing polygamy. Sorry, Mary the Mormon. Joseph Smith not only didn't have sex with those women, he wasn't even sealed to them either. Your great-grandpa did it framed and blamed Joseph. And so this is going to be sad. That if Mormons are not freed, if we do not go to Zion, we will all be utterly destroyed. Because the Book of Mormon has the Exodus pattern. Lehi leaves with those who believe and those who don't. Before the utter destruction. And it was before 9th Ave in the Book of Mormon. But this year is weird because of the Jewish calendar. But like I've done the videos, the Smiths are well aware of this. And so Rosh Hashanah was yesterday, blowing the trumpet, signing the heavens for the events on earth. It happened yet again. You really can't deny this, Mormons. You are a part of the great and abominable church. But now Sunday, October 6th. Remember what happened on October 6th last year? Do you remember what happened on 9/11 last year? Nelson does. I did a countdown video for that last year. And here I am doing a countdown video for Sunday. And yet Oaks said, yep, Travis is right. It's gonna happen. But the church is not thinking it's gonna be to them, only to Israel. And so yes, I warn my government, warn Netanyahu. The fast of Gedaliah is coming on Sunday. Warn him. And so if something happens and he dies, I'm going to be pissed. Because Israel will now know that America betrayed them. Again. I warned my government to warn him. I don't have a hotline to Netanyahu like Jared does because of his marriage to so. And then Day of Atonement. So if the deaths do happen, as prophesied, as my dream warned me about, the funerals will be on Saturday, the Day of Atonement, Judgment Day, as they get buried in their death according to the prophecies, with the fall of the great and abominable church. Judgment. And the Danites mean judges. They stole it to claim they're the rightful owners of the land. And I've done those videos from Scripture. Lamanites, the secret band of Gadianton, with the fast of Gedaliah, with governors as your big clue as to the connection there. And then the assassination. 3rd Nephi chapter 7 was supposed to be 2020, but Oak says, nope, test run. 2024 is 3rd Nephi 7. Travis is right again. Many of the pictures I use are repeated pictures. Some of them are new that I'm repeating because of updated information. Because I'm investigating, trying to warn you guys. So I had the first vision with a new picture repeated for you. And little comments. For the church's version, this is my son, Christian Jesus Christ, who will return a second coming several more times. Until 200 years from now, he will coup the government and murder people. And then Christian's version, fake news, only Christian Jesus is the Christ. This is my Jewish Christ son Emmanuel, replaced by Roman Emperor Constantine's Jesus Christ, not real idol God, who would then appear in the second vision to Joseph Smith. See, I caught it as a kid. Sun got it noonday. So they're resurrected, but the first resurrection isn't until after the second coming, in the latter days. Then why are we calling it the first resurrection if the first resurrection happened after Jesus Christ was resurrected? Isn't that the first resurrection? Now, if you mean celestial resurrection, okay, but let's change it to the celestial resurrection. As a kid! Why aren't other Mormons catching this? So, alright. So I've got to bathe and shave. Get on with my day, as it's now noon. Sun got it, noonday.